One of the sneakiest mistakes I see in multifamily is at the two extremes. On one side, you've got people trying to go way too big, way too fast. And on the other hand, you've got people who want to play it safe and stay too small for too long. And here's the kicker. Both of these paths are gonna cost you. If you go too big before you're ready, the property runs you instead of you running the property. You're buried in systems that you really don't have, lenders that you can't satisfy, and tenants you don't know how to handle. It's like strapping yourself to a rocket you don't know how to fly. Now, if you stay too small forever, you stay stuck in the grind. You never scale into properties that give you freedom. You keep managing your fourplexes and your duplexes, telling yourself that you're being smart and safe. But in reality, you're just standing while years are passing you by. Now, both of these extremes are mistakes. And in this episode, I'm gonna show you how to avoid them, how to pace your growth the right way, and how to know when you're truly ready to level up. Now, let's start with the first one, going too big too fast. Look, I get it. I've been in this industry long enough to know how tempting it is. You see people on social media bragging about buying a 100-unit property. You hear the gurus saying, go big or go home. You think to yourself, man, if I'm gonna put in the work, I might as well swing for the fences. But here's the reality. When you take on a property way beyond your capacity, you're setting yourself up for chaos. Think about it. A 100-unit building isn't just a bigger version of a duplex. It's a completely different business. You've got layers of management, serious payroll costs, multiple financing hurdles, construction schedules, city inspections, compliance issues. It's all heavy. And if you haven't learned how to handle the smaller version of those problems, guess what? You're gonna drown yourself in the bigger version. I've literally seen investors buy a 100-unit property without ever managing a single tenant before. Within months, the tenants were walking all over them. Contractors were bleeding them dry, and the bank was breathing down their neck. They thought they were going to be the next big player. But guess what? Instead, they ended up fire selling that property just to get out from underneath it. That's the danger of going too big too fast. You skip the part where you learn the skills and the property becomes your teacher. And trust me, that's the most expensive teacher you'll ever have. Now let's talk about the other extreme, staying too small for too long. This one is actually sneakier because on the surface, it looks like you're being smart. You buy a duplex or a fourplex, you manage it, you collect rents, and you think, hey, I'm building wealth. I'm doing this the right way. And for a season, that's fine. Small deals are great for cutting your teeth. But here's the trap. If you never step up, those small deals will chain you down. Why? Because small deals rarely give you scale. One vacancy in a fourplex, and you've just lost 25% of your income. A new roof on that same property wipes out your cash flow for the full year. And if you self-manage, congratulations, you just bought yourself another job. I've watched people sit in this zone for a decade. They get comfortable, they get scared of going bigger, and they never take the leap. And here's what they don't realize. By staying small, they're actually taking a bigger risk. They're losing the compounding effect of time and equity growth and scale. All while the pros are stacking 12 units into 24, 24 into 50, these folks are still babysitting the 4 same tenants they had for 10 years. And guess what? They're tired, they're frustrated, and they have almost nothing to show for all of the years of playing it safe. So just like going too big too fast can drown you, staying too small too long can keep you trapped forever. So here's the common thread. Both extremes rob you of your future. If you go too big too fast, you risk losing everything because you weren't ready. You burn out, lose your money, and sometimes even get forced out of the game. If you stay too small too long, you rob yourself of momentum. You waste years you'll never get back. You miss out on the compounding effect of scaling and the ability to trade up, refinance, and snowball your portfolio into something life-changing. Both paths create stress. Both paths create regret. And neither one gets you the freedom that you're chasing. So what's the solution, right? Well, it's pacing your growth. Here's how the pros approach it. Master your current level first. If you're on a fourplex, don't even think about 40 units until you can run that fourplex in your sleep. Learn tenant management, learn renovations, learn the numbers. Build competence at your current size, and then scale deliberately. Don't leap from 4 units into 100 units. Go from 4 to 12, from 12 to 36, from 36 to 50. That way each step is a stretch, but it's not a leap into the unknown. Build systems before you scale. And this is huge. Scaling doesn't fix your problems. It actually multiplies them. If your tenant screening is sloppy on 4 units, it's gonna be a nightmare on 40 units. Get your processes dialed in before you start to add doors to your portfolio. Let your track record guide you. Don't scale on hope, scale on proof. If you've stabilized and refinanced a 12 unit successfully, you've earned the right to look at a 24 unit. If you've never leased up a vacant unit, you're not ready for a 50 unit. The pros scale because they've proven it at every level. The wannabes scale because they want to skip the line, and skipping the line almost always ends badly. As a broker, I see both sides constantly, and I had clients come to me saying, "Hey, find me a 100 unit deal, I'm ready." And I'd ask them, "How many doors do you already have?" And guess what? They'd say none. They weren't ready for a 100 unit. They weren't even ready for a 10 unit. Now on the flip side, I have clients who'd come to me who owned a handful of small properties for years, but they refused to grow. They were scared to take on more, and I could see it was holding them back. Their peers who took calculated steps were passing them by, not because they were smarter, but because they were actually willing to grow. The pros, they knew their lane. They scaled deliberately, and because of that, they were the ones still standing, still growing, while all the others had burned out or stalled out. So here's the takeaway. Success in multifamily isn't about going as big as possible, as fast as possible. It's not about staying in your comfort zone forever either. It's about pacing your growth. Learn the game at one level, then take the next step up. You gotta build systems, build your confidence, and scale deliberately. Do that consistently, and before you know it, you'll look back and realize you've built something massive without ever drowning or stalling out. Now, I want to hear from you. Be honest. Do you lean more towards pushing too fast, or do you lean more towards playing too small, too safe? Drop a comment below and let me know. And don't forget, subscribe so you don't miss out on the rest of this series. Like this video so it gets pushed out to other investors who actually need to hear this stuff. And stick around because in the next episode, we're diving into one of the silent killers of cash flow, ignoring property management systems. And that one is going to open your eyes wide.